Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. I thought I'd do some late night coding by doing a Django and Mapbox integration. This is going to be like a tutorial / quick start video. And I'm just going to be coding and talking my way through it and seeing how I do things. So feel free to follow along and just enjoy the coding, I guess. So this is going to be just a demo, and it'll have the most rudimentary implementations of Mapbox in a Django app. So let's get it started. I'm in a directory called Mapbox demo, and I am just going to bring out the code editor here and work from there in the terminal. So first thing I want to do is, of course, create a Python virtual environment. And I want to activate the virtual environment. And because I'm on Windows, my command is going to be source venv/scripts/activate. And if you're on a Mac, it'll be bin/activate. But since we're on Windows, it'll be scripts.activate. And then we have it activated right over here as shown in the parentheses. And now we're going to be pip installing Django. Okay, so Django's been installed, and now I can start a new project by typing the command django-admin start project Mapbox. And this will create a Mapbox project, and I want to cd or change directory into that Mapbox so that I have access to the manage.py to run more Django commands. And so in here, I want to do python manage.py start app addresses, and I want to create that addresses map. And in this app is where the address model will live. So first, let's go to settings.py in Mapbox and register this app as an installed app. So you can do two ways to do that. The first one is to write addresses, and that'll be fine. Or you can do addresses.apps.addresses.config. And if you have any questions on why these two are so, then you can just check out the Django documentation for that. But to keep this project simple, I'll just leave the addresses and the installed apps. And now that the whole project recognizes the address app as one of its apps, let's go ahead and make a model in here. And now, so this model, we'll call it address. It'll inherit from models.model. It'll have three fields. So the first one is obviously the address, and it takes models.text field. And so the user is going to be able to input an address, and it will have latitude and longitude coordinates for them to convert into the Mapbox API and have that address be displayed on a map. And so of course you need a lat or latitude, and it'll be in this model field, and it'll be it'll be a Boolean field because coordinates usually look something like 32 point something like that. So the first one, latitude, it'll be a Boolean field, or not a Boolean field, what am I saying? It'll be a float field. And we'll have extra arguments in here saying blank equals true and null equals true. And the blank makes it so that the user doesn't have to put in the coordinates themselves. They only have to put in the address, and then the model will take care of the coordinate conversion for them. And the null equals true is so that when the user initially creates a new model, the database stores the lat as a none value. And of course, we have to have a longitude for that. And so I'll just copy this down and then call this long. And this will have the blank and null equals true as well, because they're acting like pretty much the same way. Okay, so now in order for us to do that auto conversion, first we need a converter, and we're going to use Python's geocoder package to do that for us. So if I go to Python geocoder and go to the read the docs, as you can see, you would normally use the requests library to make some API calls and then return it in a JSON file and then, you know, parse it out and everything like that. But the geocoder will take care of that for us. And so if we look at the example over here, they do a simple import, and then they make a API call using Google here, so geocoder.google, and then they input an address, and when they call out the lat long, it gives us back the coordinates. And instead of using the Google call for it, if you drop down over here in providers, they have many other different providers that you can use, and Mapbox is one of them. So if I click on this, they import the geocoder, and they call the Mapbox function, which takes in an address and a key, and this is going to be an access key that we're going to need from the Mapbox website. And then once you go back to the main page, after you make the API call, if you do g.latlong, it gives you the coordinates. So let's go ahead and use this to convert our addresses into coordinates in our save method in our models. So first we need to make sure that we have that geocoder package installed. So we'll do pip install geocoder. And once that's done, all you need to do is a simple import. So import geocoder. And again, whenever the object is saved, we want this save method to be converting whatever that address is for us. So let's create a save override method, and that'll be define save, and it'll take the self arguments and keyword arguments, and that's going to be keyword arguments. And let's make the API call here. So it'll be g equals, what did the documentation say? Let's go back. G equals geocoder.mapbox, and let's, for the reference, go down, and it takes the address and a key, and this is going to be referring to the public access token key. So instead of hard coding the address here, our address will be the instance address. So it'll be self.address, and this self.address is referring to this field right over here. And we also need a key and a token, and we will create the token here momentarily. But just to finish this save method, it'll be, well, going back up here, if you make this call and you do g.latlong, it returns the latitude and the longitude. So if we do g equals g.latlong, remember this returns lat long in a list like so. We can now plug the lat and long back into our instances of the lat and long. So lat or self.lat equals g dot to the 0th index, or the first one, which is this one. And we'll do self.long equals g.1. And then return save arguments, keyword arguments. Or, I'm sorry, super address self. Yeah. Okay, so now we need the token for this second argument here. So let's go to Mapbox, and if you haven't made an account already, go ahead and do so. It's free, and once you make it, you go to your account, and as soon as you go into your account, you have your access tokens. So I'm just going to copy my default public token over here, and I'm going to place it at the top outside of my class. And then this key will be, I'll just call this access token. And so my key will be access token. And if you want to get really specific with the access token, you can just call this Mapbox access token, but you don't have to if you don't want to. Okay, now let's go ahead and see if our save method works in terms of converting the address into the coordinates for us to plug back into our map. So in order for us to do that, we are going to need to migrate our model. So we'll do that by saying python manage.py make migrations, and that initial migration has been made, and now we just need to push to migration by saying python manage.py migrate. And along with that, the user auth model has been also created, so we can create a super user. So it'll be python manage.py create super user, and the username will be admin, email will be blank. Just type in a password, and now we can do python manage.py run server. And before we do anything, we need to add this to our admin so that we can see it in our admin page. And so first import the model and register it. So it'll be admin.site.register and register address. Cool. And go to our admin, go to admin, or login with admin, and in our addresses, let's create a new address, and this one will be Washington DC KFC. We just need one address somewhere, so it'll be this food court right over here. Yeah, so we just need this address, place this here. And we don't want our users to input this. We'll be doing the save method for them. And if I do a save, the address has been created. And if I click on it, look at that. It did the conversion for us, because in our save method, we make the API call and return the lat and the long every time it's saved. So let's say I want to change this address into something else. So whether you are creating or updating it, the save method will always convert it for us with the method by using the API call. So instead of KFC, we will do, I don't know, McDonald's. And type this address, or copy paste it, and instead of being 38 and 77, if I do a save, well, they are still 38 and 77, but if you look at the decimals, you can tell that they've changed, so we know that this works. Just to give a more exaggerated number difference, we'll do KFC in Montana, and we'll just copy paste this here. And if it's 38 and 77, if I save it, it's 45 and 111. So now we know that this whole model system works. So now we need to plug it into the Mapbox API and render out a map for us to look at. So let's go ahead and create a view for our addresses to be displayed. Let's go ahead and just create a class view, because we're going to be creating an object, and the CreateView in Django can take care of that easily for us. So I believe that's, well, for more practical learning, let's just go to Django class view, and specifically we're going to be looking at the CreateView. And so this is a built-in class view that lets us create new model objects. And the good thing about this one is there's no need for us to write extra forms. This class will take care of that for us. So if I go to the CreateView down over here, it says from django.views.generic.edit import CreateView. So I'll just copy paste that. I also believe that you can do django.views.generic import CreateView, but we'll just follow the documentations here and just work off of this. And also imports the model. So we'll do from.models import address, and now we can create the view here. So it'll be class address view, and this will inherit from the CreateView. And the first attribute that we need is the model, which will be address. And whenever we're creating it, we're going to need to specify the fields that we want. So there are only 3 fields for this model object, but we only want the address to be put in. So the attribute, I believe, is fields. Yep. So fields equal to a list of strings that have that list of the fields. So it'll be address. And this address, again, refers to the field right over here, which is the text field. Okay. And let's go ahead, while we're at it, declare a template. So we'll do a template name equals, we'll call this addresses/home.html, because we're only going to have one page. And then whenever the object is created, we want to redirect the user to another page, and it'll just be / and that'll take them to the home page again. Okay, let's put in some URLs to route this into our templates and all of that and stuff. So first we need to go to the root settings URL, and in our imports we also need to import the includes, and that way we can do a path, and we'll leave that blank, include addresses.urls. And so this will make sure that if we create a URLs file in our addresses app, the core settings file can pick that up. So we'll create another urls.py in our addresses, and we'll do from django.urls import path, and we also need the views imported. So from.views import address view, and then we'll make the URL patterns equal a list, and then we'll create that home path or the address view saying path, and this will be blank as well. And then since our address view is a class view, we need to do address view.as view, and then just give it its name. It'll be home. We don't need to worry about putting an app name for this, just because it's a very simple project. But if you want to add a namespace for this, you can, but we won't for this project. Okay, so that we got the views and the URLs configured, let's go ahead and create this home.html template that we need to render out everything. So there are two ways to create a template directory. The first one is to stuff each template respective to their own apps into the apps directory. So if I have the addresses app here, I can put the templates directory in there and then create another one called addresses. And within this, I can have the home.html. So if I have another app called, I don't know, say Frog, then in that Frog app, I would have a directory called templates, and then in that templates directory, I would have another one called frogs. So that's one way to do it. The other method is to, let's see here, is to at the base of the project, so where the settings / mapbox in this case, and the manage.py is, you create a directory here called templates. And now that's created, you can put the apps directory, template directories in there. So it'll be addresses. And so in our addresses, we can take this deleted. And then in this template directory, it can contain other apps' templates. So if I want to do navigation, then I can have the navigation stuff in there as well. And I believe if you want to keep the templates consolidated into one file or one directory at the root, then I believe you would have to have Django look for that by configuring a little bit in the settings. So if you go to the settings over here and go to the templates in this directory one, I believe you have to say baster and do templates. And this basically means that at the base directory, look for the templates here. So in this addresses, if I do home.html and I want to give this a skeleton real quick, so put that, switch back to Django. And if I do python manage.py run server, and let's see if this loads. Okay, now we're at the we're at home.html. Say h1 Django home. And if I reload that, there you go. So now we got the template working. Let's go ahead and bring our map in. So if I go to Mapbox docs and go to the documentation, if I go down here, this is what we're going to be using. It's the GLJS. It's a JavaScript library that uses interactive maps to render out a lot of cool stuff. So click on this, and if I go down, there's a quick start. And this is the map that we're going to be putting into our Django app. So it says to get started, you need an access token, and we have already done that, or we've got our access token. And so go down, it says include the JavaScript and CSS files in your head. So we'll just go ahead and do that real quick. I'll just copy it, and in my head, down here, right above the title, I will put the scripts and link. Cool. And it says in your body, include the following code. So I'm just going to copy this and place it right underneath my h1 tag. So we have the div here that shows the map, I guess. and then we'll be calling a script, and we have our access token, and we'll create a new variable, and this new variable is going to have that map in there. So if I refresh the page, there's our little map, and it's in our Django app now. Now if you want this a little bit bigger, I can change the width to 100% and raise the height. I don't know why this is doubling. Raise the height double to 600 pixels, and so that looks a little bit better, I guess. We'll keep it for now. Actually, if I reset this to ratio, this works just fine. And now the map has more configurations that you can use, such as the styling, and if you want to change your centering, we can change that too. And if you want to change the initial zoom, you can change that as well. So yeah, now we have our map. Now we want to render in our addresses into little markers that can be planted on our map. So let's go ahead and see how we can do that. First, we need markers. So reading this documentation, it says markers and controls. So if I click on over here, and if you can't find this markers and controls in the quick start, you can just do, you can search Mapbox markers, and it'll be the first result. So going down here, if I go down to the examples, here I'm just going to copy paste this and place this right under my map. So as you can see, the marker takes in the coordinates and then adds them to the map, and this map is defined already for us. So if I reload the page, let's see if we can find our marker here. Can we find it? Nope, we can't find it right now. Let's see why. Oh, there it is. It's all the way in in Ukraine. Okay. So now that we have our template, we can use the template to display all of our models, and usually how you would do that is through the context in our views. So let's just use our views. In our class view, we can specify our contexts, and so the method for this is define get context data. And usually the convention is to return the super, so we're just going to go ahead and do that. But we are going to return it in a variable called context. And so now this context is going to be a dictionary. So if you're writing a function view, it's the same thing as context equals dictionary, and then you can add objects here like address equals address.objects.all, stuff like that. So it's essentially the same thing. So we'll do context, and if you want to add to dictionary, it's going to be address, and now we'll keep it plural for the naming conventions. So context addresses equals, and we'll just plug this in here. And then once we're done with everything, you just return the context with all of the added addresses. And I believe that's all we need to do. If you go back to the templates here, you can see that the access token is publicly or like hard coded in. If you want to change this, you can also put this into the context as well if you want. So if you want to do context is Mapbox access token, and I'm just keeping the naming convention same as the one in our models. And so this will be the same thing. I'll just string it real quick, and it'll be copied into this. And once we return it, our context will have the token and the addresses query set available for us in our templates. So going back to our templates, this can now be access or Mapbox access token. And for here, how we can display all of our objects as markers is very simple. You just write a for loop. So you want to do for address in addresses, and remember this addresses is now the query set of objects.all, so you're returning all of the address objects. So for each one, you're creating, first let's end this for loop first. So for each one, you are making a new marker, and in that marker you are setting the address, or address dot long and address dot latitude. And it's going to be long and lat because it says dot set long lat, so we're just making sure we're consistent with which one's which. Oh, we didn't put it in the right, we didn't encapsulate it in these curly brackets here. There you go. Let's see if this works now. And I believe this should be out of here like that. Let's see if it works. Great. Now our marker is working. And just for the sake of things, we will keep the latitude and the longitude centered in that area, just so that when we refresh the page, we'll have this as the center. Okay, so let's just add a little bit more markers just so we have like a more visually appealing thing going on. So let's go to addresses, and I'm going to create a new one, and this one will be West College Park. So West College Park, Montana. Is it MT or MO? Maybe it's MO. So if I save this, I have the coordinates in here. So if I refresh it, there's another marker. I'll do one more, and it'll be, let's see, South Meadow. So I'll create another one. So South Meadow, Montana. Oops, Meadow. Save it and refresh. Did it create another one? I'm not sure. Anyway, now that we have our markers working and they're pointing to in the map where all of our addresses are, I want to be able to click on these and give a little pop-up of what the addresses are. So if I go back to Mapbox markers, I want like a little pop-up. So it says get pop-up, and in our marker, which we already have, I want this to pop up. So I'll just copy paste this part in right over here. Yep. And instead of hello world, I will do a paragraph tag, and in that paragraph tag I'll have address dot address. And if I refresh it, and if I click on it, it displays our addresses that we input as our models. So yay, our stuff works. One last thing, we want the users to input the addresses now instead of having a super user go to the admin for it. So let's quickly do that. We'll just create a form here called form method equals post, because we're inputting information into the database. And close that form real quick. And of course, with Django forms, you need a CSRF token. And we will do form, and then do a input type equals submit, value equals submit address. Yeah. Okay, now we have this form. And let's do a La Tinga Mexican restaurant, Montana. I submit it. Okay, well, apparently there's another place in Louisiana called this thing. And this goes to show that, you know, we can optimize our searches better, but since this is kind of like a very quick start kind of ordeal, we're not going to get into that right now. But yeah, the form works, and this form is basically provided us for free from the class view, because this CreateView automatically returns a form with the fields. And so let's say we only have the address here, which is this input field right over here, which is a text field. And so if we have a lat and a long, and refresh, then we also get that as well. But since we don't want the users to, you know, do all the heavy work themselves, we'll keep it as address. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Sorry it took a little bit longer than I wanted it to. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, as always, just let me know in the comments or any other way that you want to reach me. But that'll do for this video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.